Welcome everybody to tonight's Tuesday live training, and I am thrilled to be here. Tonight's going to be a lot of information, and I'm excited because the Tuesday live trainings are what you choose, what you vote on when it comes to these Tuesday live trainings. And again, every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So I'm excited to begin what we shall begin for tonight. So the next Tuesday live training is going to be stopping external forces from diverting you from the miracles you deserve. Okay, so the next one is stopping external forces from diverting you from the miracles you deserve. Tonight, so that's for next Tuesday, so mark it on your calendar at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Tonight is about facing your fears and the rewards gained. So I'm really excited to begin this Tuesday live training with you. If you are just popping on, hop in the comments, let me know you're here, and you can say hello, you can do an emoji, give a thumbs up. So I'm really excited for tonight. Now, before we begin, there's a few announcements. The first one is that the Heal Your Chakras Intensive will begin on March 23rd. So that's a Monday in a few weeks. So mark your calendars for March 3rd. That is the beginning of the Heal Your Chakras Intensive. So if you have joined in with the Heal Your Chakras Intensive, then you can get more information, go deeper with it, and get more practice. So I do suggest that you join, whether it's your second time, third time, fourth time, it doesn't matter. The second thing is, if you have not done it, this will give you the technique that you need to heal your own chakras and to work with energy. So it's an amazing technique that is in the group and completely free. So that's going to begin on March 23rd, and I'm thrilled that I'm getting to give this to you, to give this Heal Your Chakras Intensive. And again, March 23rd, mark your calendars. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about is I will be reaching out via DM to see who is joining the Heal Your Chakras Intensive, so I know who to keep in the loop with everything. So expect that coming from me. Okay, so let's talk about tonight. So tonight we're going to talk about facing your fears. So number one, what is facing fears? Like, what are the fears? And going deeper into the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual aspects of facing your fears and the results that you get for every step of the way that you go. So that is going to be where we're going for tonight, and I am thrilled. Again, if you're just signing on, give a thumbs up, a love, comment, hello, let me know that you're here. And remember, if you have any questions, you can always comment down below, and I will try to get to your questions as we go through. And I love interaction, so if something is confusing or you are asking more information or anything like that, comment below. So I'm excited. Okay, let us get started. It is 7:03, so we're getting started pretty early for today. Oh, last thing, if you are new to the Lightworkers and Healers Tribe, we're constantly getting new people in the group. My name is Lauren Egle, 4th level Master Peruvian Shaman and registered nurse and creator of Earth and Balance. So just a heads up, if you have not met me yet, this is me, so very nice to meet you. All right, so let's begin for tonight. So the first thing we're going to talk about for tonight is facing fears. Okay, what do I mean by facing fears? What fears, right? So fears are looking into things that scare you. It could be on multiple levels. It could be on the mental level, it could be on the emotional level, it could be on the physical level, or it could be on the spiritual level. So many times, and this is just a tidbit, many times that things that come up in our lives, we don't want to face the fear. We don't want to face something new many times, is because it could be that we don't want to know the truth, so the knowledge part, the mental part, or we don't want to feel those feelings, Or it can be a combination of both. Many times it's a combination of, if you know the truth, then the emotions are going to come up and we try to run from that or hide from that. And I'll go deeper. Those are just two examples of reasons why we run from facing your fears. So here's some examples of the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And I just want to stop Diane and said, hi there, sounds like a great topic tonight. Yeah, I'm excited for it and I hope you get a lot out of it. Again, if you have any questions, comment down below as we go and I'll try to get to them. So thank you everybody for joining. Now, with the facing fears, which is looking into things that scare us, it could be on a physical level. Here's an example. You know that your job isn't right for you anymore and your fear is to quit it, for example. That is a physical fear. It's doing the action. It's physically the fear. And there could be mental and emotional aspects in it, but the action of quitting the job. And I'm not telling anybody to jump in and quit a job that they're not, loving anymore, but that's just an example. Number 2 is mental. So mental could be finding out knowledge, finding out truth. So finding out if your significant other, for example, is cheating on you. And this is a very out there, and I'm not even sure why I got this as an example, but I did. So the mental could just be that knowledge of, facing your fear. Like you have this hint and it's finding out that knowledge, finding out if something is true, finding out the truth to the matters. So that's an example of the mental aspect. Now the emotional aspect could be, going through the grief process. So if we lose somebody we love, whether it's a death or whether they are gone from our lives for whatever reason, maybe it's a breakup or anything like that, going through the grief process. A lot of us run from going through the grief process because of the emotions and because it can be hard, because the emotions, going through the grief process is not the easiest thing. So that's on the emotional level, just an example. Spiritual level, it, for example, is you have a gift of seeing spirits and you have this experience of with an earthbound spirit, for example. Earthbound spirits are spirits that have passed away and they just haven't transitioned yet. So they're considered earthbound. So they have not transitioned over wherever they're going next. So it could be that you've had an experience with that and now you fear going into that spiritual level, that spiritual realm. So that's an example of a fear on the spiritual level. So it can be on any level and it can be on multiple levels at once. It have aspects and multiple levels at once. So you can place this video in any aspect in your life, whether it's something you're going through physically, whether it's something you're going through mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So this is kind of giving you a rough draft of and an idea of, every things that are going on in your life, and you can plug whatever you're actually going through, some fears that you have into this scenario. So that's why I was breaking it down physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Now, today's going to be a little bit more visual. So when I say that, I'm going to give the information, of course, but I'm also going to give you an idea, a visual of it, okay? So we did start talking about facing the fears and what that means. Now we're going to talk about if we know that there's something in front of us that we're not looking at, what are our normal options for it, and what does each one mean? That's what we're going to go into right now. So number 1, say if you get a box, okay? In the box, and this is the visual part of it. In the box, you have something that you know is scary, something that you know you don't want to face, whether it's consciously or subconsciously. So let's just say consciously for now. So you get this box and you know it's something that is terrifying to look at. This could be, for example, in the box could be stuff with your childhood. It could be stuff with your career. It could be stuff with your relationships. Now box number 1. So we have, say, 1 box, and there's 4 things that you can choose to do with this box. Number 1 can be complete avoidance. Or sorry, you get the box and you completely act like you never got it, and you ship it away or you throw it away and you get rid of it. So box number one, or the way you act with this box, whatever that fear is technically denial. It's we're in a state of denial that we have something in front of us because we don't want to face it. We don't want to look at it. And again, this could be the grief process. This could be quitting your job. We can talk ourselves into, like, in our hearts and we can get this glimpse of, okay, yes, this is something that I know I need to do. But then we all of a sudden like deny it, as in, oh no, everything's perfect. So it's a sense of denial, and it's a sense of like, I don't need help, or I don't need to look at this. So that's the option number one. Okay. Now and we'll go through each one individually. So option number two is you have this box and you know it's something scaring, excuse my language, the shit out of you. It's a fear that you know you need to look at. And this time, instead of completely pretending like it never happened, it doesn't exist, you avoid it. So the box is still sitting there. Your fear, the thing that you're running from, for example, is still sitting there, but you're not looking at it. You're almost pretending like it doesn't even exist. Okay? So that's number two. And we're going to, again, go through all of these individually. Number three is you get a sneak peek, but you only look at an aspect of it, and then you completely throw it aside because you don't want to look at it, or you leave it for later. And the last one is number four, is going for it, going straight for the box, jumping in and looking straight at it. Okay. So number three is basically number three is like the sneak peek. You get an idea, and that's like the toe dippers. They'll get it either in time, or they'll only look at an aspect of it because they don't want to go deeper because it's scary. Number four is either they're the pushers, where they push really hard and force themselves, or they're ones that just follow their heart. So the thing with this is that when we are looking at the different options that we have when we're facing this fear in front of us, say if we know it consciously, if we have all these different options, we may go through denial at some points and pretend like it hasn't happened. We can go through avoidance, where we just avoid it. It's that we know it's there, but we're just not looking at it and going every which way around it. We can go through, doing it a little bit at a time, or we can go straight in. So that comes up in many aspects depending on what the fear that we are facing. Okay. Diane said, my mother committed suicide when I was 17 years old. I was in denial for 40 years. Yes, because that is huge. And sometimes we're not ready to look at certain things. And that's okay. If you're listening to your heart and you're looking at, really looking at your heart, and you know it's not time to look at something, it doesn't feel right, you don't feel ready, and it's not from fear, it just feels good, well, then you'd have a better idea, like, okay, that will come in time. But if you know that you are walking around something or pushing it away or just completely denying it, avoiding it, those fears, anything like that, well, then that's another story. Okay? So we're going to go, I just explained all four of those boxes. And I'm going to go deeper into each of one. The box with your fear, the four options that you have. So number one is where we have the fear and we completely deny that it even exists. So what we do is we create this reality as if it never happened. Most likely, this does happen, definitely does happen, but in general, these are people that aren't necessarily, like I said, it goes back and forth. You can switch between these boxes depending on, or these options for the boxes for facing the fears, depending on what you were going through and the aspect of your life. So we can go through each of these boxes. So again, number one option is you turn around and you walk away. You completely deny that it actually exists. So what does this mean? It means on a emotion, I'm going to go mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional levels of what you're going to get out of each one that you do. So you have a better idea of, the consequences, let's just say, of each of the options. So number one is you turn around, you walk away, it's denial, you pretend it doesn't exist. On the emotional aspect, there's going to be regret. So you're gonna on a subconscious level, there may be the regret. On a subconscious level, there may be the anger for not facing it, for not looking at it. If you saw it and then you completely pushed it away as if it never existed. So that is on a subconscious level. Even if this occurs, for example, you have something that happens in your past and you were in denial for so long, well, chances are it's going to come back up, it's going to surface. So the anger and the regret are something that you may have to look at now. Okay? So we have on an emotional level, we have the regret, we have the anger. And what we're doing is we're suppressing this information, the emotions with it. So anything like with the fear and we're not looking at it, all those emotions that are in correlation with that fear, we're suppressing them. So we're putting that heaviness on our body. Okay, so that is the emotional. Then we have the mental. On the mental side, we have this belief that we're a failure if we don't look at it, that we're not, strong enough, that we don't have what it takes. It's those beliefs that we don't have what it takes, whether this is on a conscious level or a subconscious level. And again, if you're looking at something later on, it's most likely will come back up. So we create these beliefs if we don't face it, if we can go into complete denial, if we're supposed to be looking at it at the time. So that decreases self-worth. So that's the mental. Okay. Then we have the physical, which is it gives us reasons to turn away and run from other things. It's like we're giving ourselves permission that it's okay to deny something that we don't want to look at, our fear. It's okay. So on a conscious level, we're telling ourselves it's okay, and then we may do it in other aspects of our life. And again, this is only if whatever it is surfacing is ready to be looked at, and we're pushing it away. And then on the spiritual level is we have the unfulfillment. Why? Because our souls came here to learn, to grow, to go through this world. So when we deny something, if we go into denial, if we don't look at something, pretend it never happened, and pretend that we never had this fear that we needed to face, and we just pushed it away, we're not going to find that fulfillment because we're not getting that soul growth. Okay? So that's on the spiritual level. So next, our option, number 2, is where we leave it there and we sit on it. So we know that there's a fear in front of us and we leave it there, and we may look at the box, for example, say the box filled with whatever fear it is, but we don't do anything about it. This can be, number 1, if we're looking at the emotional level, we're going to have the same emotions that really dive in. So it's going to be most likely, number 1, regret for not looking at it. Number 2, anger at ourselves. We're going to have a decreased self-worth. And what we're doing again is suppressing our emotions. The mental part of it is the same thing as that. Well, this one's a little different. We're going to have false beliefs that you aren't a failure because you didn't deny it. And then, again, that may be subconscious. The idea of the failure, that may be subconscious. But this time you didn't deny it. So you're like in that middle ground. You're like, okay, I'm okay because it's sitting over there. I didn't throw it away. I'm not denying it, that it ever happened or that it exists. I see that it exists. I'm just going to leave it there. And sometimes we do leave fears and stuff on the side. And why do we do that? Because sometimes it may not be time to look at it. Sometimes we need that time, we need that break. So it's okay if we don't look at something immediately. But this is for something when you know it's time to look at it, and yet we just keep pushing it aside. So what we're doing here is, this is more for comfort, because we're not saying that we're exactly failures, because we're not, not looking at it. We're saying it's there. But that does give you, it's like this false belief type thing. In the physical level, it's inaction. Inaction is choosing. You know how you say if you don't choose, if you don't take an action to it, you're still choosing? You are still choosing. So it's inaction. And this is where you're choosing not to look at it. So what you're going to get out of it is not that great. It's not going to go away, because it's there for a reason, for a soul growth opportunity. So the fears are things that we need to face in our lives are there for a reason, and a really good reason, guys. I know like all of this is kind of like Debbie Downers talking about all of this, but there's so much reward when we do face it, and that's what I'm going to get into. So I'm just giving the preface of this. So that is on the physical level, is that we are choosing, that we're choosing that route. So whether we like it or not, we say we're not doing anything with it, we're not choosing. It gives us the excuse that we can just leave it there. But truthfully, we are choosing. We're choosing not to look at it. We're choosing to just let it sit there. And the fourth one is, it still gives you that unfulfillment, because you're not going with that soul growth. We're not going with the lessons that our soul wants us to learn. So that's if we just leave it there when we know it's time to look at it, or it's time to face those fears, and we just leave it there. The next one is, the option is where we get a sneak peek of it. So again, this could be people that dip their toes in it. This could be people that will, do it in time. But really what I'm focusing on now are people that, only want some of it, because maybe that some of it isn't the hardest part, and then they leave what's really, really hard with it. So we have this false idea that, that we're facing it. We are, and it's really good that you face even just that aspect of it, but there's a lot more to it. Okay, so a lot of times, we'll get to this. So the first thing is about the emotional. Number one, since they had a sneak peek of it, since they got to look at a little bit and work on a little bit of it, then there's less emotions. So it's not so heavy, but it's still kind of heavy, because we're still kind of suppressing those emotions, right? There's still some left, let's just say, because we haven't looked at everything. We're only just doing a sneak peek, and then we're putting it aside. Like, I looked at everything I need, and it's gone to the side. The second part is the mental part, which is it gives us a sense of confidence that we're moving forward, and it gives us, that like, okay, good, we looked at it, right? Like, yes. But this is not going to give you the healing, because you're only getting some of it. This is the really, really particular, like, harder one to navigate, okay? And I'll get to why, because a lot of this can be subconscious. So the fourth aspect to it, which is the spiritual aspect to it, so if we just take a sneak peek, if we only get healing from some of it, we still have that unfulfillment. We have a little bit more fulfillment because we worked on a little bit of it. We faced a little bit of it. We got the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual, let's say, or even only parts of that. So we may get a little bit of that goodness and that fulfillment, and like, oh yes, I'm doing something that feels good for myself, right? I'm facing this. But this is the confusing part, is that you only get a little bit of fulfillment with that. So what happens? When we have a fear, and we only get a little sneak peek of it, and we only get a little bit of it, and we work on that area of it, we're not getting the full healing. This happens so much in the spiritual community and with everybody else. But I am pointing out the spiritual community because this is, the area that I teach in. Is that so many people in the spiritual community, and I'm not saying everybody, definitely not saying everybody, there's many people that are not, like, that really try to go as deep as they can and get all the healing. But there's many people in the spiritual community that want the good stuff. They want the easier stuff, okay? They want, I'll work on this, it may be semi-hard, but I don't want to go further with it because that's all I need. Because I want the light stuff. I don't want the heavy stuff, right? Well, there's many people too, and this is the second part. So these are the people that just kind of want the light stuff. They may look at the difficult stuff. They may face some of the fear, whatever it is. So say they're facing some of the fear with it. So but then they go with the lighter stuff. Okay, so that's that option of it. Then they have people in the spiritual community that want to look deeper and deeper into it to get all of the healing they can, and they think they're done, but subconsciously they get stuck, they get blocked, right? And they may not fully know, they may get hints, but they may not fully know that they're not done with the healing, that they haven't gone deep enough and done all of the healing, that they need to face the full fear of it. So that's kind of the two ways that it can go if somebody gets a sneak peek. And I'm not talking about people who get a sneak peek, work on it, and then in time, when it's time for them, they go back and they finish. I'm not talking about these people. I'm talking about people who, number one, choose not to go into it deeper, or because they just want to work on the light, or ones that just don't know fully. They may get a couple of hints, but it's not fully conscious that they're blocked, and or they do know they're blocked, but they don't know how to go further with it. So that is where a lot of people lay. That is where a lot of people are, in the sneak peek. That for the people who really want to push forward, a lot of people get stuck in that. So I'm gonna also tell you how to get out of that rut, okay? But first, I want to go into where you open the box and you dive into your fear, okay? So number one with this is, on the emotional side, you clear your emotions because you can now release them fully. So healing comes with receiving everything that you need to know, and that will help you release all of those emotions. So it's releasing all of those emotions, so you feel a lot lighter, okay? When you face the fear, when you go the distance that you need to go, you feel so much lighter, just like on a physical level, because you don't feel so heavy. On an emotional level, you don't feel so heavy and drained, and yeah, you just get this sense of feeling so much lighter. It also helps with depression, but not going into that. The second part is the mental. You have this sense of confidence. You have this sense of power when you're doing everything you can with facing the fear, okay? You have a sense of power because you know you're on the right track, and you're healing that aspect, and you've healed that aspect when you've faced it and you've done everything that you know that you need to do. So that's the mental. Oh, and also changes your perception. So say you have a fear and you are facing that fear, and you're doing everything that you can, and you're really getting stuff out of it, you're releasing your emotions, you're really healing it, and it gets to the point where, okay, it's finally healed, whatever that aspect is, your whole perception of whatever you were working on changes. And it changes because you healed a wound, and that wound is no longer affecting how you think of something, okay? You no longer have that wound, so your perceptions are changing to the whole circumstance. So when you really heal something, your perception changes about that whole situation into more of a neutrality, more heart-centered. So that's the mental aspect of it. And Tanya says, this synchronicity and timing is freaking me out. Perfect. It's always a good thing, right? The physical aspect is that you continue to move forward in life. You're getting closer to the life you dream of. You're getting closer to living your purpose. You're getting closer, and I've kind of skipped with that. You're getting closer, and you are on that journey, and you're gonna get rewards for it with your life because you're facing the stuff that you've been running from. And I know that this takes time. Healing takes time in general, depending on how deep it goes. So I'm not saying like it's a quick matter. So just know what I mean by that. But on another level, a lot of us were raised to just suppress things because we didn't know that we needed to look into it. We didn't know that we had to fully, face our fears and do everything that we can. Because we may have learned in society that depending on who your parents are, how you're raised, how you were nurtured, nurtured versus nature type thing too, we may not fully grasp the idea that it takes going into the hard stuff, because normally a lot of people, we skip the hard stuff, right? Because that's easier, it doesn't hurt so much, right? So this is when you open the box and you really dived in and you really go into the hard stuff, because that's where you get the rewards and you get healing out of it and everything changes. So on a spiritual level, you get the full fulfillment. You get the full fulfillment because your soul is like, hell yeah, I just completed one of my soul growth opportunities, and now I don't have to learn that fully again. You may have to apply it a couple times in the physical sense, like, hey, is this truly what you want from the universe, from spirit? But you've fully learned it. So your soul is like is ecstatic. So you have that fulfillment when you face the fear and you really go deep with it. This is where healing comes. Okay, guys, this is where healing comes, when you really open that box, dive into the fear face first. And then also, this is where you get your rewards. So many people want to go sky high with their spiritual journey, especially people that I'm attracting in this group. They want to fly with their stuff. But a lot of them don't want to face the hard stuff. And if you really want to go deeper and you feel that you need to go deeper in your life, because your guidance is going that direction, this is the stuff you can't skip. You cannot skip it if you want to continue to get that full healing, if you want to continue to fully unlock your gifts and reach your full potential on the spiritual level. So I know working with me, if you have worked with me before, I really guide people to look into that hard stuff, to not skip over it, because this is what takes you to that other level. And the people in the Lightworkers Path program, they've learned with me, and this is something I maybe need to show a little bit more, that I'm not the easy way, but I'm the way that will get you there in a very stable, if you want this and you work with me, you're going to get there. So I'm not the easy way out. I'm the way that is most fulfilling. Anyway, that was a little rant. So that's the spiritual aspect of it. Okay, so let's go back to the sneak peek. For the people who are looking to, they have a fear and they don't feel like it was fully healed, or they don't know, they feel like they can't go further with it, right? Here's a couple things to know about when you get to this. Because when we look at, this is just a little side note, when we look at the things that are hardest in our lives, for example, grief, for example, looking at, for me, suicide, because of stuff in my life, if I didn't face all of that, or actually say I am facing that, okay, and I'm looking into suicide, and it's a fear I didn't want to look at because it's just so prevalent in my life, that I immediately, because it's so deep and it hurts because it's just so fresh and it's hard for me, I immediately get a block. So there's things that you need to do if you want to go further. So, and a lot of times these blocks are subconscious. So maybe we dive in and we can only get so far. Maybe we feel like, okay, but it's still not healed. Like, what's going on, right? So, and it could be the subconscious blocking us. It could be our subconscious saying, I'm not looking into that. And you maybe not know, but you just know that you're not getting farther, that it's not fully healed. So things that you can do is, number one, choose to see the truth, but only what's of your highest benefit. And number two, and I'll put these two together, is surrendering. So whenever I am laying down and I'm working on something that is really freaking hard for me and it hurts, and it could, if I continue to go deeper, bawl my eyes out, then I'm sitting there surrendering, which means becoming one with all the universe, God, spirit, whatever you call it. So it's not giving away power, it's becoming one with. It's being supported by, but also being connected to. So, okay, just for a little tidbit of surrendering. So I surrender, and I also choose to see the truth only of my highest benefit. So I will lay there maybe about 5 minutes, depending on how deep I'm going, with I surrender, and really choose it. I surrender. I surrender. I choose to see the truth only what's of my highest benefit. I choose to see the truth only what's of my highest benefit. I don't just state this. I intend it, and I really, really hone in to that, and I choose it. Okay? And so that is really important. If you're trying to go deeper, you could, but you feel like you can't, but you feel like it's not healed, but you feel like you have to continue on, or whatever it is, you can do that and really surrender and really choose to see the truth, but only what's of your highest benefit, and ask for help from your guides, right? So that's one. And number two is, when I know that I'm stuck and I'm not getting anywhere, I get help. We can't do this by ourselves because we hide our own truths, because it can be hard. So this is a big thing for a lot of people who want to go further in their spiritual path, but they get blocked. Number one, are you trying to do it by yourself when you actually do need help? Or are you trying to do it by yourself, but you haven't tried surrendering and really, really choosing to go further with it? Of course, only what's of your highest benefit. And I keep repeating that because that's very important. Only what's of your highest benefit. So that can be the subconscious, stopping us. So this is what I teach so that people can go deeper and get what they need. But the fulfillment of it is amazing. Amazing. You get all of the rewards that I said, and I'm going to repeat those rewards again. If you do go deeper, and say if you need that help, you get that help, or you need to sit there and just surrender and state that you want to see the truth, only what's of your highest benefit, for like 5 minutes, and really actually surrender, and you'd get fulfillment from it. You get complete healing from it. You get your life changes so drastically in the direction that you want to go when you truly face the fears. So why I'm saying this is because it's not for us to, go into denial with something and push it away. If we're feeling, of course, if we feel guided to look at it, we don't necessarily want to go that, because we don't get rewards from that. We may get a little bit of peace, but we actually have all that heaviness and those emotions that we're suppressing because we're not looking at it. If we leave it there and avoid it, and we're kind of in that middle ground, well, I'm not looking at it, but I didn't get rid of it, so I'm okay. No, we still have that heaviness, and we're not being able to move forward with our soul growth. So we still have that unfulfillment, all of that. Or we get the sneak peek, so we get a little bit, but it's not healed. We don't get that full opportunity. We don't get that full fulfillment. We don't get to go, higher or further with our spiritual, maybe in aspects you do, but you're not going to reach your full potential with this sneak peek of it. And again, it could just be that we need to surrender and really let Spirit know that we want to see the truth, or we might need to get help. And I get help all the time, guys. I get help all the time. Because when we're working on ourselves, we hide things from ourselves. And I know when I'm blocked, because I know I'm not done with it, yet I can't go any further. And the last part is, you really are beginning to live the life you dream when you face things head on. And again, we go through these different stages in different areas of our life where we have fears. So it's okay if you're not jumping in headfirst in the beginning to something that is truly hard for you, or like a fear that is really, really hard, or something that's hard to face. We may avoid it for a little bit. Maybe we need that time. Maybe we're not ready. Maybe we just need a little bit of time to get that courage to even look into it. Or we may, look at a little bit, and maybe our spirit's saying, okay, look at it now, but we still kind of avoid it a little bit. So in different areas of our life, we may go through these different options that we have with facing the fear. So that's okay. It's okay if you don't push forward immediately. Oh, and that's another thing I want to say. When you do open the box and you dive in, there's number one, the people that follow their hearts, and number two, the people that are pushers. They want everything now. Pushers, because I am one of them. Like, I've had to learn a lot with that, with pushing. I am a pusher. I want to, like, go, 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 go. Like, I want to get deeper. That is something completely different. But with the people who are pushers trying to face fears, there's a reason why we don't want to jump into fears that we're not fully ready to face like that. Sometimes we need that extra time in between, and our heart says we need that extra time because we think we can face it, but on another level, or emotionally, it's a little bit too much for us. So if we get that for the pushers, if we get, okay, hold off, like, take your time to integrate this first and then move on, and just trust. You don't need to know when it's time to look at it, but just trust that it's time to set it aside and then come to it a little bit later when it's time. And there's a reason for that. Because the more we push for something we're not ready, it actually is more devastating to us than getting a little bit now, listening to our heart. Our heart says, okay, stop, integrate, like, just take a break. Or it doesn't feel right to continue, and then wait until it is right. Your heart says it's right to continue. Does anybody have any questions with this? I know there was a lot to this. This is with facing your fears and the rewards gained. I know I didn't get specific into the types of fears, or the types of like examples for that you can have in your life that you need to face. I kind of gave only a few of them, like quitting your job, finding out if your significant other is cheating, going through the grief process. Maybe you have a fear of like really going into that, or facing something spiritually that you had an experience in the spiritual realm and that scared the, excuse my language, shit out of you, and now you're like I don't want to go anywhere near that. Those are examples, and I know I didn't give other examples as I was going through this, because you can literally put any aspect of your life into this and it still applies. So if anybody has any questions. And again, if you're getting to know me, I don't take the easy way out. I don't just give the stuff. I give the stuff that we don't want to look at, because that's how you get the furthest in your healing, in your journey. That is everything. Let's see. I'm just checking to see if I'm missing anything. Okay, if you haven't commented in the box or liked the video, like it, comment, let me know that you're here. I love seeing people that are here. And a reminder, next Tuesday is stopping external forces from diverting you from the miracles you deserve. So stopping external forces from diverting you from the miracles that you deserve. That is the next Tuesday live training. So mark your calendars, next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And the intensive, Heal Your Chakras intensive, begins March 23rd. So I'm excited about that. Brittany says, thank you. You are so very welcome. And I'm very, very happy that you were here to join. Absolutely love that. And I believe that is it, everybody. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, I'm not saying anything, so I believe that's it. Everybody have an amazing night, and I will see you soon in the group. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me or write them on here. And if I haven't gotten back to a question that you posted on a different video, it's not me ignoring. Trust me, it's for some reason I didn't see it or didn't come up. So that way you can just send me a DM. Okay. And believe that's everything.